Tonight I'm here, I'm going to talk about challenges and how we face them. Do we just face them, or do we embrace them? What do these challenges do for us? When I was first married to the best husband in the world, he's sitting here in the audience, I don't want to embarrass him. A couple of months after we were married, I woke up in the morning extremely nauseous. I'm sure that's happened to many of you. And I threw up, and that's okay. But then 20 minutes later, I threw up again. And 20 minutes later, I threw up again. And 20 minutes later, I threw up again. To a point that I was literally passed out on the floor, and I felt hopeless and helpless, and I did not know what the heck was happening to me. Of course, we went to the doctor, and I was given a mazel tov, having a baby, very exciting. But the sickness did not go away, and I could not work, I could not move, I could not do laundry, I could not lift my head off the pillow, I could not sip from a straw, I could not feel my body, I could not feel my limbs because I was throwing up so much. My entire body ached. It was just the worst feeling ever. I did not know how I was going to get through 9 months of this. And the doctor told me that I had HG. It's called hyperemesis gravidarum. I'm sure some people have suffered with that. It's extreme nausea, throwing up, to a point where you lose so much weight. The baby might not be gaining weight, you're not gaining weight, and you can't eat, drink, smell. You just have no senses left, and you literally just want to sleep straight through 9 months. I did not know how I was going to get through this. Somehow I did, and 9 months later, I had a beautiful baby girl, redhead, and all my pain and suffering was totally forgotten. I was on this new journey with my new baby girl. I was so excited. It was heaven. It was amazing. It was the best feeling ever, and everything was worth it, and everything was forgotten. I'm not a stranger to any kind of challenge, so that seemed very easy for me. I had a very tough childhood. My parents divorced when I was 6 years old. I was the oldest of 4 children. In Crown Heights, which is a very observant community of Chabad Lubavitchers, a beautiful community, divorce was not the most common thing. And we moved, my mom as a single mother with 4 children, to Miami. And I always felt different. We were in a very small classroom environment, and I was the one with a father that visited once a month. And it was very hard for me, especially there were times that I was bullied and people made fun of me and called me by my maiden name, which was Lair, and they would say, "Lair pair underwear," and stuff like that, which made me. But I got past all this stuff, and eventually I grew up, and I got married, and I was thinking of my daughter and saying, like, she's never gonna be bullied, and everything's gonna be wonderful, everything's gonna be great for her, I'm gonna give my kids the best childhood. But all of my sickness and everything was just forgotten. A couple of years later, I was expecting again, and I'm thinking, I went through so much already. I know how to do this, I got this. It's gonna be different this time. And it was. It was 10 times worse. I was in the hospital every other day. My husband was taking care of my daughter. I was sent home with a PICC line, which is an IV in the leg, which was administering Zofran and all kinds of other stuff just to keep fluids in my body. And I just could not deal. It was so rough. I had this 2-year-old daughter relying on me, and I just could not lift myself off the couch. I could not clean. I could not cook. I could not teach. I had to stop Hebrew school. My husband had to kick in and do everything. He still does, by the way. It was extremely hard. And I kept thinking to myself, I can't believe that I just cannot cope with this. Like, why can't I just get through? After about 16 weeks of being pregnant with this second child, I started to feel a little bit better. And I was so excited. Wow, this is amazing. I feel like I can eat food again. I feel like I can drink. This is unbelievable. And I had a doctor's appointment scheduled. And I went to the doctor and I schlepped my little 2-year-old along with me. And of course, they check the heartbeat. And they're looking. And they're not hearing anything. And they had that Doppler going. I think that's what it's called. And there's no heartbeat. And I see the doctor's face turn to worry. And they bring in a sonogram machine, and I'm getting a little nervous, and I'm saying, where's the heartbeat? Where's the heartbeat? And he said, sometimes it just takes a little time. They could not find a heartbeat. After 16 weeks of suffering, there was no more baby. That baby passed away inside. I cannot tell you how devastating that was. My daughter was with me. This is over 20 years ago. I screamed, I yelled, I shouted to God. I could not believe that I just suffered for so long. And now, like, you just took that away from me? You made me suffer for so long, and then you just take that away from me? My daughter was there. She saw me screaming and crying, and I'm sure everybody in the waiting room heard. I thought she would be traumatized for life, and I did not know how I would ever get past this. And that day, I told myself, I'm never, ever doing this again. One child, God, I tried. I did the best that I could. I am not having any more children. Over the next few weeks of just being totally sad and depressed and agonized and not even sharing with anybody, I started to think a lot about God. And I started to think about the things that I would teach people about divine providence and how whatever God does is for the best, and the challenges that he gives us are really to make us grow and to make us better people. And I still just could not feel it. I could not believe it. I knew that I taught it and I preached it, but inside, how could God do this? I suffered for 16 weeks. I could not move. I threw up every single day, and you just took that baby away from me? One weekend, my husband found a stack of letters that he has copies of from the Rebbetzin Rebbe to his grandparents. And he's like, you want to read some interesting stuff? Why don't you read these letters? And I actually took out one by one, and one after the other, with different things and different questions. The Rebbe was talking about emunah, which is faith, and bitachon, which is trust. And I started to realize something. That bitachon, which is trust, is the most important. And that if I want to have more children, I need to trust in God that he's going to help me get through these harsh, terrible pregnancies. And there's no way I'm going to settle for one child. Not going to happen. And I believed that, like a person that goes up in an airplane to skydive knows that that parachute is going to open. I said, God, you are my parachute. You can go up there in the airplane. You're going to be petrified. You're going to jump. It's going to be hard. But that parachute is going to open. And I forced myself to believe that Hashem will help me, and that if He gave me such harsh pregnancies, this might be my challenge. This might be something that I have to work on to overcome and get through it in order to have the best gift of all, children. And what can I say? I'm standing here. I'm a mother of 10. When I was 9 months pregnant with my 9th, I walked my eldest daughter down to the chuppah. And I just could not believe that this bitachon, this trust that I had in Hashem, brought me the best blessings of my life, my beautiful children. Last Hanukkah, I had my baby number 10. We call him Minion Baby. And 4 days later, my daughter had her second child. And I'm here to tell you tonight that every single person in this room has some kind of challenge. It can be dealing with a sickness. It can be dealing with a difficult loved one. It can be dealing with a difficult marriage. But whatever challenge Hashem gave you, it's a gift. It's a gift because that is going to make you a better, a greater, and a stronger person.